So let's see how Ben Shapiro is being racist. He just can't hide his racism. You know, like I said, if it was a white lady playing the flute, would have been a totally different reaction. Well, let's see exactly how racist it gets.
You know, on the right-wing dating app, you're going to be looking for a real man, one who is masculine and strong, like, for instance, Ben Shapiro, who has been. You know what's amazing about this?
Archetype.
Like, I don't know who Lizzo is. Okay, and I don't think that should become as a surprise to anybody.
Because he's a boomer.
I don't, you know, my cultural references are very, very limited to anything that took place, you know, 25 years ago, and nothing since then. But as soon as I saw that both Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh were talking about Lizzo, I don't even know what their gender is. I knew that this person had to be a black person. I mean, it would just had to be a black person.
That's the only explanation.
Because it's like so arcane what they're talking about, and for the both of them to be talking about this as a story. So here is, let's start with Ben Shapiro, who is enraged because apparently Lizzo, who is a recording artist,
very good,
was playing former President James Madison's crystal flute. And she was playing it on one of her concerts that here we go. Oh, he's looking particularly masculine.
I mean, he's quarantined. He's in his home.
Oh, is he sick?
I don't know. Looks like he's not in the studio.
Yeah,
that beard
he's growing
is
out that pandemic beard. The pandemic shadow.
The reason the clip is viral is the contrast between a person twerking and the idea of
the contrast between
an extraordinarily classy instrument.
Classy. Yeah, the flute is classy, but twerking is not classy. You're not respecting the flute.
That speaks to sort of the gentility of America's founders being brought into a context that...
All right, pause it. I'm sorry. No, that is not even subtle racism.
The gentility, yeah. What does Ben Shapiro know about gentility, whatever that means? Yeah, he's not exactly a gentleman himself.
At all.
You have a gentry way of doing things around here, and you're not really respecting it, Lizzo.
Madison was genteel in negotiating the 3/5 compromise, but Lizzo, because she is a black woman, has to be aggressive and not becoming of the crystal flute.
Yeah.
Man,
how do I put this? She's black. What I'm trying to say.
She's black.
First off, I feel like you could go and question 1 million people in America, any group of people you wanted, and ask them to describe James Madison's flute.
They'll be like, oh, James Madison had a flute and it's a crystal flute? Wow, that's pretty cool. Oh, and Lizzo played it? That's even cooler. That would be their response.
Not only will none of them say genteel and reminiscent, they will all, I would say, 98% will think you're making some type of euphemism.
Right.
Playing the flute. Oh, Lizzo played. Yeah, James Madison got his flute played. Ooh, what does that mean?
Yeah, but
I mean, Ben wants people to play with his flute, but they won't.
Militant apathy says that Lizzo is literally classically trained.
Yes, she's amazing. We played some of it yesterday.
She's classically trained.
So
but
beautiful.
Is she classy? I don't know.
It's a classy instrument.
Not classy, folks.
Let's continue here.
Valorization of American history. Again, Lizzo did both, and only one of those clips went viral. And so if you notice that, then you're very, very bad. Yeah. If you notice that, then this means that you're some sort of racist, or it means that you don't want black people playing the flute or something. No, I just don't want people twerking with historic instruments. By the way, I'd be similar.
I don't want people twerking with historic instruments. It's literally just the twerking. Yeah, it's like, if you don't like twerking, that's fine, Ben. But, like, don't make that other people's problem.
Offended. As a violinist, if there was a Stradivarius, somebody had a Strad, and that Strad was lent out to a musician who then proceeded to twerk on the Strad, I would also be insulted.
Okay, well, if you're twerking on the instrument, that's a whole different story, yeah. But if you're twerking while playing it, I mean, who cares? Honestly, maybe Ben should twerk while playing his violin. Maybe he would learn how to have some fun. Maybe he would learn, like, oh, twerking is actually cool. I can unleash my inner thoughts, right?
It turns out that great art should not be degraded. Great art, American history, they should not be degraded by juxtaposition with vulgarity. That should not be a controversial position, but we've now reached a point in American life where nearly everything is a controversial position. Literally everything. Every day on this show, there's some clip that is taken that is utterly uncontroversial and then made into a thing on Twitter. Because we now live in a world where we do not have a shared reality. This was a point that was made by an account on Twitter called Local Distance, and he's saying that we don't have a shared reality.
Local.
I'll go a little further into the clip. This is just him being like complaining people criticize him.
You know, he's upset that people are criticizing him for being upset the classic no twerking with a classical instrument
yeah, we all know the rule.
edict that everyone has been abiding by in our shared reality. We all know.
Yeah, if you look at Section 8, Paragraph 3 of the Respecting History guidebook, you'll see it says clearly no twerking on historical artifacts or while using historical artifacts, and they're clearly just flying in the face of it.
That everyone in the country has always had a prohibition between twerking and classical instruments. It's just something you don't do.
You don't twerk with a historic instrument unless you're sleeping with a Republican member of the Senate.
Now, of course, twerking.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. If you're playing their flute, then it's a different story. Maybe that's it. Maybe they're upset that their flute is not the one being played with.
Like twerking with a guitar, fine. Twerking,
I like to see that actually.
With a piano, like Jerry Lee Lewis, or
twerking. Yeah, standing up while you're playing the piano and twerking. Honestly, that would be badass.
Twerking as long as the camera frame is here, below. Like you remember Elvis Presley. There was a reason why we only saw him from the neck up. Was of course because there were classical instruments on stage, and we had to be prevented as a society from seeing him move his hips in that fashion and have it juxtaposed with, let's say, a piano, which of course is a classical instrument.
George Washington's teeth were actually around his crotch, they were just right there.
Oof.
As you know, the Elvis Presley had a stand-up bass in his when he played, and of course that's why we could not see the lower part of his body, because of at one time we as a country agreed we do not want to see any gyration in the hip area juxtaposed with older string or wind instruments.
Yes, that's clearly in the code of respecting instruments. You cannot move your hips at all while playing an instrument, or you're disrespecting it. Didn't Elvis invent the swing? What is it? You ain't nothing but a hound dog. He did the hip swinging. Apparently he took that from black people, but he popularized it. Of course, when it's a white guy doing it, then it's cool.
Continue, please.
Stations, we can't have shared values. It's very difficult to see how you have a future as a country if you don't have some sort of shared value. The part that's kind of astonishing to me on a personal level is I don't understand why.
I just wanted to announce that the Civil War, the impending Civil War, is not going to happen because we share the value that you should not twerk around classical instruments. Yes, I mean, this is Ben Shapiro has brought us all together. And there it is, ladies.
This is so important to peace. We should get the Quincy Institute on maybe systematizing which instruments are okay to twerk with and which ones aren't.
Which instruments are degenerate instruments that can be disrespected, or maybe you gotta build like a ghetto ass flute or something. Then you can twerk with that flute, but not the sacred flute.
I mean, the tuba, that seems you're probably safe to twerk with that. The harp, tuba, probably not. But I think we need to really do some research.
And we need some categorization of other acts of dancing and gyration. You can motorboat an electric piano, but you cannot motorboat a classical piano. If it's a Steinway, they are virgins. Just do not.
Yes. You cannot do the Charleston while playing a guitar.
Jack, back to that.
And please don't do the robot. Please don't.
Yeah, don't hit the dab while playing the harp. Do not do the the renegade dance. That's an old one. I don't know. It's like 2019, but still pretty old. Yeah, can't do any of those.
Do the robot on his xylophone, people.
Well, here's the thing. It would be nice if Ben really wanted to put out a list of which instruments you're allowed to twerk with.
Yeah, what are the rules
shake
then?
Your
What are the rules
booty
here?
with, or whatever it is that he finds to be effective. This is so, like, my
So
God.
dumb. Yeah.
Continue.
Lizzo would do that, right? Lizzo is enough of a musician to understand the nature of historic musical pieces of art. And so the degradation of that, like, why doesn't she personally have the respect for the instrument and respect for the history? And
She was respecting it. It's just the twerking, like.
not to twerk with it. And by the way, the left would have the same exact reaction if somebody took the Mona Lisa off the wall at the Louvre and then went and twerked with it at some sort of
I'd literally.
Oh yeah, twerk with the Mona Lisa. Yeah, that would be sick actually. Just holding up the Mona Lisa as you're just twerking, as just shaking your ass. Yeah, that'd be different. But like, I don't know. That's kind of weird. That's kind of cringe because like it's not even an instrument. What are you doing with the Mona Lisa? Just not much. I mean, maybe if you're twerking on the painting, then that's like that would be really disrespecting it. But
exactly the same reaction because degradation of the past, degradation of great art is part and parcel of something that the deconstructionist left loves. They love
the deconstructionist left. That's the first I've heard of that word being used in that way. Like deconstructionists, what are they deconstructing? I guess they're deconstructing Western civilization or whatever they believe in. But yeah, he's saying that like it's on purpose. Like he's doing this like as a purposeful thing. It's like, no, dude. It's like you just it's okay if you don't like it, but like you don't have to make this a whole conspiracy theory about like, oh, they're doing this on purpose to destroy Western civilization, to degrade our culture. It's like literally just twerking.
Yeah, that great art doesn't exist. That all art is equivalent. That Robert Mapplethorpe's Piss Christ is actually a form of art.
What?
Right? Everything is art in the eye of the beholder.
I don't even know who
and
that
that's what's
is.
really going on here. And if you notice it, then they're like, how dare you notice it? Well, if you hadn't made a big deal out of it, I wouldn't have noticed it. If you didn't think it was historic, if you didn't think...
It's you who's making a big deal out of it. What? How are they making a big deal out of it? By twerking? I mean, it's literally your fault that you're getting offended by that.
It was
right?
important, you wouldn't have done it. It also demonstrates, by the way, just how much the sort of institutions of American government have been taken over by members of the woke left. When you have members of the Library of Congress reaching out to Lizzo to have her twerk with a flute.
Oh, so it was the Library of Congress who reached out to Lizzo. Okay, so they wanted to have her there. It's like, so it would be even disrespectful maybe for Lizzo to not do that, because like, yeah, if anything, she's gracing them with her presence.
Saying that this was that Lizzo was essentially, I guess, drafted to degrade the Madison's flute.
Yeah, because of this woke leftists in these positions of power, like the flute vault at the Library of Congress. Yeah. Yeah, we can't have woke leftists being in charge of our historical instruments. I mean, if anyone's going to be interested in musical history, it's gonna be like a left-leaning or like at least like a liberal person, right? A conservative would hear about the flute vault and be like, why does that exist? That's a waste of taxpayer money. Shut it down. That's probably what they would say.
And
they would be like, oh, sell the flutes. Just sell. They shouldn't be kept in a vault. They should be sold to rich people, right?
Did he say that the left would be upset if the Mona Lisa was
This flute is not comparable to the Mona Lisa. This flute, it's a crystal flute made by...
Yeah, the Mona Lisa is a painting. It's not an instrument, so why would you twerk with it? It doesn't make sense. Like, it doesn't make sense. Honestly, the Mona Lisa is like kind of mid, honestly, right? It's a nice painting, sure, and the lady's looking really mysterious as she's looking out at it. But like, look at this. It's kind of like, what's so great about this? Oh, part of it is like the landscape. Look at the background. Like, what is this place that she's in? She's on some kind of balcony, but what is this? This is like some foreign, like some like alien planet or something. Oh, maybe Mona is an alien, right? I mean, that's why she. right? I mean, yeah, look at this. It's kind of mid, right? It's kind of like whatever. Like, what's so great about this? I mean, she's in a nice pose. She's got a nice smile, a mysterious looking smile, but like honestly, her eyes look kind of. I mean, her eyes have some spark in them, but it's like her cheeks are puffy, her hair is mid, her hair is like parted down the side, like her tits look weird. Not really, but it's like, and also it's like really small too. It's like it's a nice painting, but like, why is it the painting that everyone knows? Whoa, man disguises old woman attacks Mona Lisa with cake. Again, it's behind a thick wall of glass, so it's like it's very well taken care of. So don't worry about it. Oh shit, who's hiding behind the Mona Lisa? Yeah, anyway. Yeah. Mona Lisa, honestly, if Lizzo ate the Mona Lisa and then shit it out into like on stage, honestly, I wouldn't care. Like, so what? Mona Lisa's been around forever. It's been around for like 500 years. Time for it to go. Time for a new painting to be the new iconic painting.
Some rich Parisian back in the day, like, and it plays like a flute and looks nice, but to compare it to the Mona Lisa, like 20 of these flutes were made. Is the right, like, making sure all of these flutes are being respected?
Wait a second. But wait a second. But the left would be upset if somebody twerked with the Mona Lisa?
No, but then he switches it and says, actually, they would like that because they don't respect art and anything is art and and like I had to work myself up for 20 minutes for this segment. Like, you know, I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, for honestly. Like, Lizzo should have broken that flute in half, all right? James Madison owned slaves, all right? It's the year 2022. We should not deify the founding fathers. F that. Like, she was incredibly respectful of the fact that she shook her booty just a little bit while playing it and played a note. Come on.
Can we see a clip of this? Do we have a clip of the actual twerking? Because I need to assess here if this is a full twerk around the flute. Like,
no, it's barely twerking at all.
You can twerk a certain amount with some instruments and some art, but now you can't go full twerk with a. First off, like, is he suggesting like some cabal of like situationists were essentially, you know, getting her to degrade this art? I mean, that is the.
The Library of Congress.
That's the left that would, you know, draw a picture on the Mona Lisa. Yeah. That I mean, I don't even know if the situationists would necessarily identify in that way. But this is pretty impressive. Let's see.
Bradley's pulling it up here. We're not.
We won't.
Mapplethorpe did not do, incidentally, or Mapplethorpe did not do the Piss and Christ.
We won't show like there's two videos that we played yesterday. One is where she goes and receives the flute from the Library of Congress, and she's in awe of how, you know, wow, this is so old and so beautiful, because she's a classically trained musician, I believe, and maybe that's what bothers Ben most about it, because I know that he's really into classical music himself.
You know,
stupid violin.
You know, he's jealous that Lizzo's getting all this clout for being a musician. When he's like, I should be on that stage. I should be playing Thomas Jefferson's crystal violin. But now, why is this fat black woman getting all the attention?
Here she is.
Let's see this twerking.
It's barely any twerking at all. Yeah. Yeah, look at that thick ass.
It's like playing out of a wine glass, bitch.
Playing out of a wine glass, bitch. Let's go. Let's go. Here's it's working. It's barely like shaking her ass at all.
Avert your eyes.
She's like shaking her thighs just a little bit.
Yes.
Barely a twerk.
He's like, wait, is that
just
it?
imagine if that was
literally.
Kid Rock, like, twerking in front of Guernica.
I can only imagine.
Starry Night.
I can only imagine.
Hell
The
yeah,
idea
brother.
that someone can hold in their hand the Mona Lisa and then go like this.
Dropping it to the floor.
I think I'm going to have to lie down, ladies and gentlemen. Wow, that is amazing. Amazing. That
Truly.
And of course, this is a plot by the Democrats and the left to promote glass
degeneracy.
flute twerking.
I said we should go for more student debt cancellation, but they're like, no, we got to put some resources toward the Lizzo flute twerk operation.
Anyway, yeah. Seems like conservatives have a really soft spot for the founding fathers. Seems like they are deified as like the gods of America, or like the patron saints of America, whereas like they're just regular people, right? They didn't know any better, really.
I don't feel like
than we do today about how to, I don't know, build a society, a country. They're nothing special. I mean, they were smart guys. Like James Madison wrote the Bill of Rights. Thomas Jefferson was a great statesman. Alexander Hamilton, of course, was a genius. George Washington was a great man who. Some people wanted George Washington to be the king of America, right? But he was like, nah, I'm too old for this shit, man. He really set an example by abdicating power and relinquishing it and allowing someone else to take over. He could have stayed in power for as long as he wanted, but no. He stepped down because he knew it was time for him to go. So, and that was a first in history. Like, America really was like the first like functional, like large scale democracy, at least in the modern era. But like they're still just people. They're all flawed. Thomas Jefferson fucked his slaves. They were all slave owners. A lot of them were slave owners. And by the way, George Washington did some things that conservatives might not approve of today. He was very pro-vaccination, at least inoculation. That's what existed back then. He was very pro-lockdown, even pro-quarantine. There was an outbreak of some virus in Baltimore or some city, and he sent in the army to enforce a strict quarantine in and around the city. So yeah, maybe if conservatives actually knew their history, they would know that quarantines are a thing that you do and that you should do when there's a pandemic happening. Anyway, they're just human beings, just like anyone else. They made mistakes. They were wrong about all sorts of things. They fought with each other. They debated fiercely. A lot of them had some good ideas. A lot of them had some not so good ideas. Right? And that's what the whole thing about constitutional originalism comes from. It's like honoring the founding fathers by running America the way they would have wanted it to be run, which is like dumb in its own way. Like, who cares what they would have wanted? They died 200 years ago. We should run the country the way we want to run it, not the way some old slave owners wanted it to be run. And also, the world's changed a lot. The world has changed a lot in the past 200 years, and the rules that we came up with back then, maybe they were good for those times, right? But they're not good, so good anymore. Yeah, our laws and our way of doing things have to change with the times. Someone said that it was Charlie Kirk who said the Constitution is not meant to change with the times, it's meant to stand the test of time. Well, it stands the test of time by changing with the times. It's meant to change. It's not supposed to be like a totally static document. That's why it has the amendments. You can amend the Constitution to change it. And it has been amended. When was the last amendment? Was it passed in the 1970s or something? Amendment XXV, that's 25. Amendment 26, oh yeah, 1971. Cool. ratified July 1st, 1971. Rights of U.S. citizens of the United States. Oh, right. That's right. Richard Nixon lowered the voting age to 18. Who are of 18 years of age or older to vote shall not be infringed or denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of age. Section 2, that the Congress shall have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. Then Article 27. Oh wow, it's 1992. There was an amendment in 1992. No law varying the compensation for the services of the senators and representatives shall take effect until an election of representatives shall have intervened. Varying the compensation for... Makes sense. Representatives should not be in it for the money. They should be in it for the representation part of it, right? It says they cannot change how much they're paid unless an election of representatives shall have intervened. I wonder what that means. Anyway, yeah. The Constitution was meant to change along with the times, and that's why the amendment process exists, and that's why there are certain amendments that are purposefully kind of vague, because the Founding Fathers were very smart, and they knew that there were certain rights that could not be accounted for, or some things that they would not be able to foresee. So that's what Amendment 9 is for. The enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. So the rights that are enumerated in the Constitution. To deny or disparage others retained by the people. Yeah, that's purposely kind of vague. Construe. Interpret in a particular way. Yes. So it was the Ninth Amendment that the Roe v. Wade ruling was based on, right? Which honestly was kind of like a shaky ruling, but like it was overturned by like a bunch of activist judges, activist right-wing judges, right, who were put there to overturn Roe v. Wade, right? Funnily enough, these amendments were known as the Bill of Rights, which were written by James Madison. So, James Madison might have been a slave owner, but he knew about rights. He gave us a lot of rights. Again, like, yeah, mixed bag. People, the Founding Fathers were not perfect. They were slave owners, but still, that doesn't mean they're bad. Just because they're slave owners doesn't mean they're bad people, okay? It means, I mean, that is bad, but like, doesn't mean they can't do good things. The amendments were pretty good. The power is not delegated to the United States by the Constitution. Not delegated to the United States by the Constitution. Nor prohibited to it by the states. Nor prohibited by it to the states. Are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. So this is pretty important too. It's like it means that the federal government, because it distinguishes between the United States and the states. The federal government cannot assume powers that are for the states or the people. I wonder exactly what powers are delegated, are reserved to the people. Excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishments inflicted. Yeah, excessive bail. Honestly, why didn't we have bail reform long before this? Because excessive bail, that was an issue for a long time. Luckily, we did have a bail reform recently where it's like, oh, we're not going to keep you in jail for being poor, right? If you're not able to pay the bail. then we're not just going to keep you in jail. Or excessive fines imposed. I mean, this is also vague too, right? Cruel and unusual punishments. That can be a lot of things. Honestly, like solitary confinement could be considered cruel and unusual, but we still do that all the time. Or like, I don't know, killing people might be a little cruel. In suits at common law where their value in controversy shall exceed $20. $20 was a lot more back then. The right of trial by jury shall be preserved, and no fact tried by jury. Oh, so if it's like a petty dispute, like if it's only $19, then you can just the judge can just slam his gavel and say you must pay the $19. By an impartial, no fact tried by a jury shall be otherwise re-examined in any court of the United States, then according to the rules of the common law. Yeah, so this is establishing due process, or yeah, it's pretty important. Because yeah, the legal system has to be really ironclad. The point is that like founding fathers were cool, but like they were flawed and they shouldn't be deified, right? They're just people. They're people just like all the others, and they can make mistakes, and they were wrong about things, and we shouldn't take their words as gospel, as like Christians do. Yeah, it seems like conservative. A lot of them are Christians, and they're trained to accept certain teachings as gospel, and like they're trained to accept the words of the Bible unconditionally. So once you're groomed, you could say they're groomed into it at a very young age, groomed into unconditionally accepting words or teachings from a certain source. Then that opens up the door to accepting all sorts of other things unconditionally. So, in conclusion, yeah, they're flawed, and don't take their words too seriously. Anyway, I'll go take a piss and then I'll go read Berserk.